Hello and welcome back to the Dugout podcast. This is episode number 95. We are joining you today after an exciting weekend of Scottish Cup action, two semi finals, and we have our finalists, Dunfermline and Celtic. Uh, really, just, well, not exciting on for the first game, but loads of eight goals across the two games in 240 minutes uh, all coming in one game. Obviously, as well, the PFA Team of the Year was announced on Friday, so we'll be going through that also. But Ethan, we'll just start on Dunfermline. Sensational, absolutely sensational. They're in the Scottish Cup final. They've played three Premiership sides in the run, and they've not conceded a goal. The only goal they have conceded was in the first round, Queen of the South, and since then they've not conceded a single goal.
Yeah, it's a remarkable achievement from the Pars and Neil Lennon to beat three Scottish Premiership sides on the way and be. I know some people maybe I don't know take a little bit away from that result against Aberdeen because of how poor Aberdeen were in that period under Peter Levine or Peter Leven, sorry. But they beat Falkirk as second favourites, beat Hibs, Neil Lennon's old club, as second favourites at Hampden, beating Falkirk as well. And you can say about the quality of the game and how it wasn't a great spectacle and stuff like that, but no one is going to remember this years down the line when Dunfermline have the bragging rights of beating their rivals at a
Also,
national stadium in a semi-final.
if you want to talk about the quality of the game, I don't think you could put that on Dunfermline. Falkirk just played right into Dunfermline's hands.
Yeah,
I,
exactly
I,
that, exactly that.
I know he's a controversial figure, but I agree with him on this point. Ewan Cameron, on the STV radio football show, said he thinks Falkirk played the occasion rather than the game. You know, the Falkirk we saw on Saturday is not the Falkirk we've seen this season. They were just lumping up to Barney Stewart. I think they were panicking. They weren't taking their time on the ball. And, long balls didn't Fairland will eat that up all day long. And they did. And they held out. Obviously, a red card in the game as well for Falkirk. And they got to penalties. And the tone was set, much like um, the Rangers and Celtic quarter final when your captain rattles the woodwork on the first penalty. I think that sets the tone for the rest.
Yeah, it certainly did. And as you said, I would completely agree with you in what you and Cameron said. It wasn't a Falkirk that we've seen this season. And I think most of their fans and probably John McGlynn and their players will say that'll be right up there with our worst performances of the season because of the expectation that was on them going into the game, how big of a match it was. And for just to go out in such a disappointing fashion, even in the penalties, sort of going out with a whimper from the start, as you said. So, yeah, no, excellent from Dunfermline, and they deserve all the credit they're going to get. I think we were talking about our predictions for the. Did you give Dunfermline the nod? I think you might have done.
I did when they made it past Aberdeen, but then I went back and I said Falkirk would win.
All right. I thought I remembered you saying that you thought Dunfermline would win on penalties. I know we kind of got the other game right because I think we both said Celtic would win on extra time, not in the manner they obviously did, but I don't think anyone could have predicted that. But no, Dunfermline completely deserved the result on Saturday, and yeah, Falkirk will be really disappointed because as I mentioned before the game, there was extra bragging rights riding on this. The fact that we don't know when we will next see this game in any sense, never mind in a Scottish Cup semi-final. But obviously, this will not only give Dunfermline massive confidence going into the final against a struggling Celtic team, but also in those one-off games. I know it's not one-off in the first round. Well, it's not one-off in any of the games of the playoff, but it's a sort of I don't know one. What I don't know how to really I think the Fairland, sorry, will take more confidence into the playoffs because of what they've done in the Scottish Cup, is what I'm trying to say. In short, and they'll have confidence that they can beat anyone in the Championship or in the Premiership, however that might be. So, what an excellent job Neil Lennon's done since going there, and he's really I would say transformed the club into a real force in the Championship and obviously the Scottish Cup as well. And a bit of a crazy start, which, unless I'm mistaken, apart from Dunfermline's loss to Hearts in the League Cup group stages this season, that they'll probably have the highest win rate against Premiership clubs this season for any team, that including Hearts and Celtic and Rangers. So yeah, an excellent job Neil Lennon's done. And I think we remember when Celtic last played a Championship club in the Scottish Cup final when they beat Inverness Cali 3-1. And of course, they were massive favourites for that under Ange Postecoglou in his last game. But it took until the final few minutes for Celtic to get that third goal to win the match 3-1 after Inverness put a little bit of doubt in the Celtic fans. And this is a far, far worse off Celtic team than that. So there is no reason why Neil Lennon's team can't go to Hampden and cause an almighty upset against his old manager, which is another
Yeah,
ridiculous story in this.
loads of storylines. A rematch from 2007. Dunfermline making it to the final for the first time since then, where they did lose to Gordon Strachan Celtic. And yeah, Neil Lennon coming up against his old side. I think I don't know if you've seen this, Ethan, but he referred to Celtic as us in one of his interviews or something like that after. Yeah, but he's clearly still a Celtic fan, but obviously he'll do everything in his power to bring the Scottish Cup home to Dunfermline. Cue the conspiracy theorists.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think we'll get on to some of the conspiracy theories because I think there was some going about for the other game. But no, I think Neil Lennon has obviously been a very divisive character in Scottish football since his playing days. But I think even recently his punditry is even seen. I think a lot of Rangers fans really respect his honesty and his opinions and his punditry. And I would certainly agree. I think he's one of the best. But if you think that
It's a breath of fresh air, actual analytical punditry, rather than two pantomime villains from either sides of the city just playing up to it. And do you know what's really frustrating? I've never seen this from Chris Boyd, so I can't speak to him because he's only ever done Scottish football, as far as I know. Obviously, he does stuff for Sky and stuff like that. But do you know what's really frustrating about Chris Sutton? He's actually pretty good when he's not in Scotland trying to rage bait everyone.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying there. Because he was doing the commentary for it was one of the games at the weekend. I can't remember what one it was. It was one of the Premier League games on Sunday. I'm pretty sure he was doing, and yeah, I agree with you. He obviously sounds he's a lot more neutral and honest, but that's the character that he and Chris Boyd play on opposite sides. But yeah, if anyone thinks that Neil Lennon doesn't want to win the Scottish Cup final with Dunfermline, and I'll tell you now, you're an idiot. So yeah, I think Dunfermline have a real chance of turning Celtic over, and that's what makes it such an interesting prospect
Yeah.
coming up after we've already got title races to decide in both divisions. One of them obviously a lot closer to a conclusion than the other, you would say.
Yeah, well, by the time you're watching this, St Johnstone might be champions. They play Dunfermline this evening away from home, and yeah, if they win this game, they will be champions. The playoff positions are all but decided. Only two games left. Dunfermline are 5 ahead of Wraith Rovers, I believe it is, in fifth. So it's basically the championship's all wrapped up. What's really interesting is the relegation zone in the championship. Ross County a point behind Airdrie. Airdrie rescuing a point in the dying moments against Partick Thistle. Basically, ruining Partick Thistle's hopes of getting their hands on that trophy, but Airdrie potentially keeping themselves up, keeping themselves in a playoff position, and Ross County could be heading straight down. So it's really, really interesting. We'll move on to the second semi-final. Where in the first minute, lifelong Celtic fan Ryan Mullen puts it on great, tremendous pressing from Daizen Maeda, but keeper's heads in the clouds here. He thinks he's got the time. to play about. St Mirren were playing it about at the back, but you can't afford to take your time when Daisy Maeda's there. We've seen it before. He's an absolute machine. He's done it against Rangers. He's now done it against St Mirren on the big occasions. You can't be dilly dallying on the ball when he's about, and it's tremendous pressing from him, and that's the opening goal.
Yeah,
Ralston,
and sorry,
sorry,
Alex. I was just going to say on this goal that this goal was a sort of, it seemed like Celtic learning from obviously the game the two teams played last week at Celtic Park, where Celtic, I think, were putting a lot more pressure on St Mirren and didn't allow them to play out from the back in an easy as a fashion that they did at Celtic Park. And also having Daizen Maeda as your first line of pressure is going to help that over Thomas Chivanchara, who started the game last week. And yeah, as you said, Daizen Maeda, you can talk about his quality on the ball, his one-on-one finishing, but in terms of off the ball pressing, he's second to none in the country, and probably right up there in terms of world football. Just how much he gives to Celtic off the ball, and obviously rewarded for that with a goal. And it was weird because there was also a goal in the English Premier League a few hours after, which was a sort of similar thing. Gianluigi Donnarumma taking a big touch. Kai Havertz gets in to get that equaliser for Arsenal, which would ultimately go on to mean nothing. And David Raya nearly caught at the other side, so it was a day for the goalkeepers. Dilly tally.
yeah. I hope the Arsenal fans have their bottles ready. Because they it looks. I think Man City will win the English Premiership now. What about you, Ethan?
No, I agree with you. I think momentum's on their side, and you know what, Pep Guardiola's team, the fashion they usually end the season in. So I just think it's going to come down to who can outscore the other one, on
I think
top of who can get more points. But
the thing with Arsenal is as well, though, they've been ranked rotten for weeks now. Uh,
yeah,
that I can't remember the last time I've seen a good performance from them. They literally held
It-
Sporting Lisbon at home to a 0-0 draw in a Champions League quarter final.
yeah. I thought Arsenal were. I watched the game yesterday. I did think Arsenal were pretty good. I know this is obviously away from Scottish football, but I did think Arsenal were pretty good, but they just didn't take their chances, and that was the difference between the two teams, and it just feels like it's fallen Man City's way at the minute, where it's not for Arsenal, and yeah, I think all the momentum's with the well, the, not the champions, but the team that's won the league a lot more than anyone else as of recently.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I talk about Anthony Ralston, I've just his goal. I've just been reminded. Um, 17-year-old Grant Tamosevicius,
Yeah, I think that is close enough. I think.
Scottish and Lithuanian descent, I believe, makes his debut coming on for Ryan Mullen, the goalkeeper, in the 15th minute. Obviously, the result ended up not being what he wanted in the end, but a tremendous moment for the young man.
Yeah, and it was, and he done himself no harm. I know maybe on the face of it, concede 6 goals, but I think Jamie Langfield, I think it is the St Mirren goalkeeping coach, formerly played for a few Scottish Premiership clubs, and his playing days went on the social media to actually congratulate the 17-year-old and say how proud he was of him for what he done under the pressure. I don't think he would have expected to be getting on the Hampden turf on that day. Obviously, the third choice goalkeeper, Shamal George, not involved. The injury he picked up last week. Then Ryan Mullen has to come off. And yeah, the conspiracy theories, which you alluded to earlier. Yeah, some people saying that obviously Ryan Mullen, former Celtic academy and Celtic fan, makes a mistake for the first goal, then comes off. I think Alex Gogic was on social media as well, actually, to defend Ryan Mullen and say how ridiculous some of the claims from his own support were. So
I
that's
thought
nice
you
to
were
see
about to
that,
say Alex
despite
Gogic.
the
I
result,
thought you were about to say Alex Gogic was on social media backing up these claims.
No. I was just going to say there, it's nice to see that despite the result and the fashion that St Mirren go out of this semi-final after really contributing to an exciting second half, especially that there's still unity within the coaching staff and the players to support each other.
Yeah,
So
absolutely,
yeah, that was nice to see.
definitely. Ralston got the second just before half time. I haven't seen the whole game. I was working, but I've seen bits and bobs. Anthony Ralston looked pretty good, and he got his
Yeah,
goal here as well.
yeah, he had a really solid game and took his goal excellently. You would maybe say a little bit too much space afforded by the St Mirren defence, but Yang does really well. An excellent first touch, and then he flicks it back to Ralston, who rifles it in off the bar, taking maybe advantage of the young goalkeeper Thomas Savicius's height, because I noticed that I looked up. I believe he's around 5'10", which is obviously quite short for a goalkeeper. But no matter what goalkeeper and of what size
He's
was in goals, they were not going to
still
save
growing.
that.
He's still growing.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying when he came on. Me and my dad were discussing it. That he looks quite short for a goalkeeper, but obviously at his age, he is probably still. No, he is definitely, well, not definitely, but probably still growing. But no, no goalkeeper was saving that. An excellent finish from Ralston. He played some really good cross-field passes as well that you would associate with more with a sort of Cafu than a Anthony Ralston, but or a Trent Alexander-Arnold if you're looking for a modern-day example. But no, he done himself no harm and was probably the better of the two Celtic Academy fullbacks.
Yeah, I'd agree with your points. Obviously, like I said, I've not seen as much as you, but it was definitely one of his better performances. And I just think back to that season where Ange came in and we thought Anthony Ralston could be something. He looked really good. His best season of his career by a country mile. And then he regressed so much, and he's become a bit of a laughing stock figure. People, fuming that he's even involved in Scotland squads. He's seen as a bit of a bomb scare. Obviously, he's got funny nicknames and stuff like that, and he's become a bit of a comical figure in Scottish football. But um, I think he showed a little glimpse of the player that maybe people thought he could be after that season with Ange Postecoglou.
Yeah, and no matter what people will say, that the fact that he's still at Celtic is down to the incompetence of the football club to find replacements and stuff like that. But it shows that he's been a great servant to the football club and been a good enough player that he's been there for that long. So, credit to the career that Anthony Ralston's carved out, and credit to his performance at the weekend, because he was one of the Celtic standouts, certainly.
Yeah. That takes us into the second half where we saw a story that I think we've seen so many times from Celtic under multiple managers. We thought it was a Wilfred Nancy thing, but I think we've just seen that it's a this team thing. They don't seem to want to play in the second half. That you're 2-0 up in the semi final, you need to put your foot on the gas, you need to kill it off, put your boot on the necks of your opponents. But they didn't do that. They eventually did that, but I'm sure it could have saved the Celtic fans some heartache, some stress, because St Mirren scored in the 53rd minute through Mikel Mandron, and then in the 91st through Mikel Mandron again, and took it to extra time. And I remember I saw a thing about Mandron after the game, and he was speaking about how we were desperate for 5 more minutes of regular time, because I think that shows that they thought they could, go on and beat Celtic, which could probably should be a bit concerning. But Ethan, same old story again from Celtic in the second half.
Yeah, and I was watching it in the first half, obviously before Anthony Ralston gets that second goal with the last kick of the ball. You're thinking Celtic haven't been great in this first half. They've got one goal in the first minute, but they've not really kicked on from that and took the opportunity to build a greater lead. And and yeah, obviously, so you know St Mirren were going to come back into the game at some point, like they did last week. They didn't have too many chances last week, neither did Celtic, but they did carve out some excellent opportunities in the second half this time around, and two excellent goals from Mikael Mandron. The header, the first one, is just excellent striker play. Great ball from Declan John, who I've highlighted a number of times this season for his excellent delivery that he puts into the box. That was after Jan gave the ball away. And then the second goal, another really well taken goal. Jake Young finds Mandrum a really nice ball, but he's still got a lot to do, and it's an excellent finish across Foljami Sinisalo. And at that point, you certainly thought St Mirren were going to be the favourites going in extra time, but I don't know what Martin O'Neill has said to the Celtic players, and I think that's why he probably deserves so much credit for the job he's done, regardless of where Celtic lie at the end of the season, because he's done an excellent job with a poor group of players. I'll say that, but no, they turned it on in a few minutes, and the game was gone. And I think that type of scoring spree that we haven't seen from Celtic all season. I've said it a few times on here that I think Celtic will maybe struggle to score 4 goals in 4 games. Never mind 4 goals and what was it?
I've got the
Was it
times here.
6 minutes?
I've got the times here. 96, 98, 101, 102.
Yeah, crazy. So that can be the catalyst to give the Celtic players confidence that they can score a number of goals. Whether it will do is the question. I don't have too much hope for it, but that's the kind of things that you look for when a team's been struggling and then they find at the back of the net in such a regular basis without any real. No one's seen that coming. As I said, I thought St Mirren would go on to win in extra time, not seeing Celtic score 4, and they took the goals really well. On top of that,
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen a lot of talk about Kelechi and Acho, Ethan, about his quality of his goals. I've just seen a lot of people speaking about his fitness. If he can stay fit, he can be crucial in this title run. And I think we spoke about he is clearly the best striker. You've got at the club, but we spoke about maybe giving Callum Osmond an opportunity because if he was fit enough, obviously, because Kelechi Iheanacho doesn't seem to be able to take that mantle due to his fitness, but he clearly is Celtic's best striking option.
yeah, certainly, and you see it with the 2 goals, especially the second one. It's an excellent finish. You can say maybe the keeper shouldn't be getting beat there. He's near post, but the composure just to side foot it into the top corner is excellent, and he shows in moments why he played at such a high level for Manchester City and Leicester City in the Premier League. And obviously, everyone can see that he's not as sharp as he once was, and the fitness levels aren't probably where they need to be. But if he can get to that level between in the coming weeks, then he can be an excellent asset for Celtic. The other player who came off the bench and I thought was excellent was James Forrest, and I think he's made sort of a habit of coming off the bench to really contribute to Celtic as of recently. And someone who started the game again, didn't really take his opportunity, would be Sebastian Tanecki. And I think James Forrest is probably next in line to get a start. You're obviously going to start Daisen Maeda. We spoke about why he will start because of especially his off the ball capabilities. Yang, maybe again, you can talk about the sort of incompetence of the football club. Should he be Celtic's starting winger? I think he's the best option Celtic have at the minute. So if you're starting him on the left or right, I think he should be playing. And I think James Forrest really deserves a shout to start at right wing. An excellent cross for the first goal, and I don't know if he contributed to any of the other ones directly. No, he didn't. But I remember the second one, Luke McCowan's. He put a really threatening cross ball, which had to be cut out by Conor McMenamin, I think it was, and then Luke McCowan rolled in a really nice finish. Benjamin Negrin with the other goal, the fourth of the flurry to get his 20th for the season, and that's why, sorry, despite his performance is maybe not being the best in overall play, that's why he was in the team of the season, which is something we'll speak about.
He's baffling. He's a baffling footballer. He offers absolutely nothing.
I think that's unfair. I think I think offers nothing's unfair, but comparison to his overall play, comparison to his goal threat is night and day, and that's the reason why he's playing. He's not playing because he's excellent sort
Yeah.
of facilitator for Celtic that makes him a really good team in and out of possession. It's because he finds the back of the net on such a ridiculously regular basis.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. But aye, he's strange. He's like a, I don't know, is he a serial Dessers figure? Um, Difficult to figure out why he's actually scoring goals. But
Well,
yeah,
yeah, but the difference with Cyril Dessers was he was a striker. So with Cyril Dessers, despite what you wanted to say about his overall play and the amount of chances he missed, he did score a lot of goals. And I think I've
also
said
I
before
think
that
I think Dessers did more on overall play than Benjamin Egrin did. So
he probably did. That wouldn't be very difficult. But yeah, yeah, an interesting player and certainly. And obviously, we'll see what happens for the summer with him because he's probably going to play a part in Sweden's World Cup campaign, which will only get more eyes on him, which is probably getting a lot of attention for his goal numbers already. The only other sort of key key point I think I was going to make from this match was around Rio Hatate not getting on the pitch again. That's two of Celtic's last three games. They hasn't got off the bench, which is quite a strange thing because he was playing a lot poorer at points in this season. He obviously had those games against Rangers, which he was very influential, and since then it's not really fell into place for him. So an interesting scenario there. I think he was going to come on, but the substitution was halted after I think Benjamin Arthur
maybe
picked up an injury and Dane Murray had to come on.
maybe it's an injury they're trying to keep under wraps. Maybe they're trying to manage him for the split run in. You never know.
Yeah, and it could be that his head's maybe not all that Celtic because we have heard about him wanting to move away in the past. So you don't know, but it is a
Speaking
strange
about your
case.
head not being all anything to do with Celtic, did you see where Kasper Schmeichel was during the cup the cup semi?
Yeah, I did. I did see where he was.
What did you make of that?
Yeah, I think it's I don't know. I've lost really caring about the Sol Casper Schmeichel scenario, and I think yeah, it is a bit strange the fact that he would rather go to that than support his team at a national semi final. But obviously, his future is
Obviously,
not going to be at
he's
Celtic.
not
So
playing anymore. His Celtic career is probably over. His contract expires in the summer, correct?
yes,
Yeah, so his Celtic career's over. So that's understandable. But these are guys you've spent the last couple of years with. You were part of getting them to that semi final. Obviously, not a major part, but I'm sure he played at least one game. You've been with them in and out in the training camps and everything. Why wouldn't you want to go and support them? I just don't understand that.
no, I completely agree. I don't understand that at all. And at the end of the day, that's your employers and the club at his age and his injury that he was obviously playing through that were willing to stick with him. So, it is an interesting scenario, but I don't think it's one the Celtic fans should get too bogged down about because I think he will be gone at the end of the season and Celtic will get a new goalkeeper in to complement Sinisalo.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, let's move on to the PFA Team of the Year. Some interesting shouts from the players. So, the PFA Team of the Year has been announced. It was announced on Friday. And I'll just read it out and then me and Ethan can sort of give our thoughts on it. Maybe players we would have had in instead. So in goals, we've got Callum Ward. Right back, we have Paul McGinn. Two centre backs are Craig Halkett and Emmanuel Fernandez. Left back is Harry Milne. The midfield is made up of Benjamin Nigrin, Elliot Watt, and Eli Just. And the front three is Tawanda Maswanisi, Lawrence Shankland, and Claudio Braga. Um, I think they got a lot of this right. I think the one of the things I'm maybe a bit thingy about is the fact there's five Motherwell players in there, which is very interesting. But yeah, I think they did get the majority of this correct.
Yeah, I think they did, and I don't really have any complaints about it. Maybe there's a few positions where I would have had someone else in, but I can't blame them for having those players in there. I think everyone there's had an excellent season in their own right, and maybe with the Motherwell, the case of five players goes back to the point of their performances maybe aren't haven't warranted the amount of points that they've got. Whereas there's been so many games where they've been the better team, they played the better football, but they've just not got over the line with the 3 points. So yeah, I don't have too many complaints. Do they want to just go through it possession by possession and discuss all the players and maybe some other nominees we could have had? Because I think we might have done a full team of the season video, but I don't think there's really going to be much diversity from this. And obviously, we've done our mid-season team of the season, and a lot of the similar players are going to be in this from what we had back then.
Well, it could change depending on who's crucial in the run-in.
It could, but it's only going to be like a couple possessions, really, isn't it? I would think
Hmm.
at most.
Okay, so goalkeeper, I don't have any arguments for this.
No, I think
I don't think
no.
anyone's up for contention against Callum Ward this season.
No, yeah, I thought about putting Callum Ward in that mid-season we done, but he's had even more clean sheets since then. I think he's got a really good save percentage in the league as well, and for him, he's probably had to do a lot more different things than what he would usually do in his previous goalkeeping career with the distribution and stuff like that. And of course, he's made a few mistakes, but not too many. And I think he's been essential to the way that Motherwell have played. So yeah, I think he completely deserves his nomination in that position.
Hmm. Right back, Paul McGinn. Do we have
Yeah, I
any
don't really
other?
have any disagreements for this.
No.
No, you get anyone else you want to put forward?
No, probably not. Um, if we did it based off statistics, I'd probably have a pretty obvious person to come in. But no,
Does he? What is that? Someone that doesn't even start most of the games?
he's played more than you think he has.
Well, yeah, but I still don't think that you can put James Tavernier in this. I know his goal scoring and assist numbers are still pretty decent, but no, I think Paul McGinn deserves his spot. Even someone else I would consider in that right back position would probably have been someone like a Philip Lisa, but I don't think he's played as many games as Paul
Tavernier's
McGinn has.
only played like 600 less minutes.
Than
Paul
than
McGinn.
who McGinn?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. But
they've
even
played
still,
the
I think McGinn deserves his spot.
they've played the same amount of games. Um,
Have we?
yeah, Tavernier has scored 8 more goals and got 4 more assists. Paul McGinn has zero in those categories. Um, let's move on to the defending
Can't
aspect.
believe I can't believe I try to carve James Hamilton in that team of the season. What is going on here? What is going on here?
James Tavernier has more successful tackles per 90,
Oh, come on. What
more,
is this
more
nonsense?
blocks per 90, not as many clearances, not as many headed clearances, more interceptions, and more possession won in the final third per 90.
Yeah, okay, well, that means James Tavernier should have been in there. No, Paul McGinn's had a really impressive season. Like, I would say the same for Ward. He's probably had to, no, he's definitely had to do a lot different from what he's done previously in his career. And I think he's done very well at it on a consistent basis. And yeah, I think there wasn't too many nominees up for right back. I don't think there was many others you could have went for. So, but still, credit to him
I'd,
nonetheless.
I'd
And
have
yeah,
over him. Yeah, I've decided now. James Tavernier's in.
you'd have what?
I'd have Tavernier in
He
over him.
doesn't even he doesn't even start. He's not even Rangers' number one choice at right back.
Yeah, well, that just shows what they maybe Dujon Sterling should be in the team of the year then, He scored more goals than Paul McGinn.
No, no. You're wrong.
Tavernier's had a better season on like than Paul McGinn has.
No, he hasn't.
Yes, he has.
Oh,
Objectively,
right.
he has.
Objectively, there's nothing objective about it.
No,
James Tavernier's not the first choice right back for his club. Paul McGinn has been way more influential for Motherwell than James Tavernier has been for Rangers.
what? So 8 goals and 4 assists is not influential.
It is,
That's big.
but yeah, yeah, okay, it is. But how many of them are penalties?
I don't know. I'll need to check that.
Yeah, but a goal, sorry, not a goalkeeper, a right back that takes penalties, corners, free kicks, not taking anything away from James Tavernier and his excellent record he has of scoring goals and assisting goals at Rangers. But this has not been the season to nominate him for a team of the season, especially when he's not even Rangers' number one choice right back at the minute. Whereas Paul McGinn, I believe, has pretty much always been that for Motherwell. I imagine he's
Four
played.
penalties. So he's still scored 4 goals from open play and got 4 assists.
Okay, but what is I imagine Motherwell have still kept more clean sheets than Rangers.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, right. We're not. This is just a, a silly argument. Paul McGinn deserves his spot in the team. Yeah.
I disagree. Moving on to moving on to these centre backs.
No. That. So you think that Rangers' second choice right backs should be in the Scottish Premiership team of the season?
Well, he's clearly not based on the amount of minutes and games he's played.
He is. Dujon Sterling starts over him
No, he
in the
doesn't.
crucial games. He does.
No, he doesn't.
Okay. We'll agree to disagree.
So let's see.
Right, you're moving on. We're done with this argument.
Dujon
Move
Sterling,
on.
he's only played 13 games this season.
Yeah, but Dujon Sterling's been injured for large parts of the season.
No,
I'm
he's
not
not
saying
the
Dujon
first choice,
Sterling.
is he? James Tavernier is because he's been available, so he's been the first choice. Um,
Okay.
uh, this has just been a little rage baiting session. I actually think
I wouldn't have put it past you.
I think Paul,
That's why I'm taking you up in your argument.
you wouldn't have put it past me. Wow. I think Paul McGinn.
Get rage baited.
I think Paul
No,
McGinn is his spot, but I think Tavernier should be in with a shout. You
no,
can't do, you cannot deny the numbers.
Oh, come on.
Cannot
Right, central defence.
you cannot deny the numbers.
I'm not denying the numbers. I'm denying the legitimacy of the claim that he should be in with a shout.
Okay.
Right, centre halves.
Craig Halkett and Emmanuel Fernandez. I've got no arguments with these ones.
No, I've got no arguments. But yeah, no, because it was interesting. I put Emmanuel Fernandez in the mid one, and you laughed at me when I put him in. But no, I think that was
He
a
did.
good shout back
He
then, and
evolved. He
it's still a
evolved.
good shout now.
He evolved into a really good centre back. By that point, he wasn't really the player he is now. His growth has been so rapid, hasn't it?
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you. I think he's overall played defensively and on the balls a lot better now. On top of the goals, the goals
Oh,
have dried up a little bit for the central defender, but no, his overall plays a lot better, and I think he deserves his spot
Nigeria
alongside Craig Halkett.
international now as well.
Yeah, yeah, I think he'll be like I said for Benjamin Iguodala, he'll be another one which will be an interesting development over the summer to see if
Apparently,
Rangers can hold on to.
apparently
Even
Rangers
though,
aren't entertaining any offers less than 20 million.
yeah, well, that's the state of the market at the minute, and obviously the downside for Emmanuel Fernandez, well, downside for both Emmanuel Fernandez and Rangers is that, of course, Nigeria won't be at the World Cup, but no, that won't deny Rangers still being able to get a very good fee for him, you would imagine.
Yeah. In terms of other centre backs, maybe you could have suggested Stuart Finlay.
Yeah,
Obviously, he's had a terrific season. Well, O'Donnell's played at centre back for a bit, hasn't he? So you can,
yeah.
he's had a good campaign.
Stephen Welsh as well. If you're looking at Motherwell,
Yeah,
obviously the best the team with the most clean sheets. I know the defence is not falling apart, but the numbers have sort of shot up in the goals conceded recently. But the team with the highest number of clean sheets is always going to be in with a shout of having players in the defence. So yeah, I would say those are the maybe the other players we could have had in there. But no, I think the two kind of picked themselves in that area.
yeah, and EA Sports agrees. Both of them have team of the
Yeah,
season cards.
yeah.
Moving on to left back, I think Harry Milne has had a really good season. um, I think he's been terrific. However, however, I don't believe he should be the left back for this team. Um, do you agree, or do you think he deserves his spot?
I think I will say I think he deserves his spot, but I still would have put Kieran Tierney over him. I think Harry Milne's had an excellent season, but Kieran Tierney, in my opinion, from what I've seen, has had a better season. But I believe that's an unpopular opinion even among Celtic fans. A lot of Celtic fans think that Kieran Tierney should be taken out for Marcelo Sarachi. And as I said, I don't think Kieran Tierney was great at the weekend, but I think he's been one of Celtic's best players across the course of the season and even in some difficult periods, especially those under Wilfred Nancy. I thought Kieran Tierney was a standout in a different position at the left side there, a back three. So yeah, I think he was in with a shout certainly, but I'm not really too bothered about the fans out there because yeah, he's had an excellent season also. So fair enough too.
Okay, interesting. Because
Well,
I
what's interesting about it?
no no no, I actually think the person that should be in at left back is. Can you guess?
Uh, to Romans.
No, Kieran Tierney. I,
All
I,
right.
I totally agree with you. I was trying.
Yeah.
I was trying to see if you'd bite and think I was just gonna try and shoehorn Rangers players in all over this team. Uh, no, but yeah, no, I agree. Kieran Tierney, I think, should be on the team of the season. I don't understand the. Oh, we've got a mate who's in love with Marcelo Sarachi for some reason, and I don't understand you know the chatter about getting him out. Kieran Tierney's clearly better than him, I think. Sarachi's been good, but like Tierney's just a different quality of footballer. You can tell why he was in the Premier League, despite being so injury plagued. Arsenal held on to him. He's a level above what we have here in the Scottish Premiership, and he's managed to stay fit for the majority of the season. He's contributed really well in the goals and assists, and I think he should be in over Harry Milne. Don't get me wrong, Harry Milne's been terrific, but Kieran Tierney's just a level above.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And it maybe does sort of beg the question what kind of season Kieran Tierney would have had to have to get maybe the respect he deserves from the Celtic fans and the rest of Scottish football.
A lot of the guys that have got in this team are just getting in because they've been better than like they usually are, which is garbage.
Well, yeah, yeah,
That's
but
the case for Paul McGinn because James Tavernier's had a better season objectively than Paul McGinn.
no, he hasn't. He
And that's the
hasn't
case
though.
for Harry Milne because Kieran Tierney's had a better season objectively than Harry Milne.
But Kieran Tierney's also had a further, you could argue, a further, no, probably about the same level of decline in performance level to what he once was in terms of his whole career, but also at Celtic. And then you can make the same case for James Tavernier, but I'm not arguing that James Tavernier should be in this team. I'm arguing that Kieran Tierney should be because he's
Why?
the first choice Celtic left back and he's the best Celtic left back, whereas that's not maybe the case for James Tavernier.
James Tavernier is the best Rangers right back.
Okay, but I don't know if Danny Rose completely agreed on that.
Yeah, well, this is my opinion,
Sentiment.
so Danny Rowe can go stuff himself. Um,
All right, moving on to midfield. I think.
Benjamin Negrin. I mean, you kind of just have to. I don't like it, but you can't turn your nose up at 20 goals. So
Yeah, you can. You're completely right. And sometimes there is
just like
cases
you
to be
can't
made.
turn your nose up at 12 goals and assists from right back. Oh, you walked right into the trap,
No,
buddy.
no, 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 no. Let me finish. There is, sorry, there is. I meant to say there is some cases where you can turn your nose up at those statistics, but you
I'm just
can't.
as the ones that work for you. Aye.
Scoring 20 goals is completely different to scoring eight. What was it? 8 goals.
Mm.
Four of them being penalties. How many of Benjamin Negrin's 20 goals have been penalties? I don't know if any of them have. Little of them anyway. For a midfielder to score 20 goals is remarkable, regardless of his overall play, and I think he certainly deserves to be in this team. And I think they got the Rangers and Celtic nominations completely right. One Celtic, one Rangers, and I wouldn't have any more. Well, maybe apart from Kieran Tierney, but I'm not too bothered about the fact that he's not in it.
Okay. Um, Elliot Watt is the next one. I don't think he should be in this team. I think a spot has been taken from someone due to recency bias. The best player in the Premiership up until his injury. I don't care how long he was out for. Cammy Devlin has to be in this team.
Yeah, I would agree. If I was going for a more sort of sitter midfielder, sort of, if Elliot Watt and I don't know Elliot Watt, maybe you would say Fadinger's Lucas Fadinger's the more sitting of the two, but I would say Cammy Devlin probably would be in my team over Elliot Watt. But that's not to say that Elliot Watt hasn't had an excellent season, and I think I did have him in
All,
my
all of these players have had terrific,
yeah.
but I think they've got it wrong for some of them.
Yeah, we're overly critiquing this team because that's what we like to do here. As you see in our arguments about who should be at right back. Uh,
I just
but
don't.
no,
They're just so
I think
they're so biased. It's unbelievable.
no, but I think I'm not again. I agree with you. I would have Cammy Devlin in the team, but at the same time, I'm not too annoyed that he's not in the Elliot Watson instead because he makes a really valid case also.
Yeah, yeah, I'd agree. I think he's dropped off recently, but he's still, he's definitely still one of the players of the season. If we did
Yeah.
like a squad of the season, he would, 100% be in it. If we did have 11 and start 11 and bench, like what would 100% be in there. Um,
Yeah.
the third and final midfielder, Elijah Just makes it into the team of the year. No, I think he makes it in pretty convincingly. He's been excellent. He's attracted interest from Rangers and Celtic. He's attracted interest from outside of Scotland. Um, Free agent, FIFA career mode legend. Always signing him when you're down in the lower leagues. You can't do that anymore. He's going to be too expensive. He's going to get a big ratings bump. Eli Just, he's been terrific this season. He's ability on the ball. He's an aesthetically pleasing player to watch. The way he passes it, the way he moves it, the way he picks out a ball. The speed at which he moves the ball as well. He's terrific, and he's 100% deserves his spot in this team in the season.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that, and I think Eli just obviously contributed to a lot of goals and assists and chances created. Sorry, at Motherwell, but he's a player that I think the stats maybe don't do justice until you actually justice, no pun intended, until you actually watch him play and see the levels that he does play to on a regular basis at Motherwell. And I had him in my team earlier in the season. Adam was part of the front three because I think you could probably argue he is both, although a midfielder is probably what he's more of than a sort of attacker, so to say. But no, an excellent season for him, and I think he's probably one of the players that's in contention for the Player of the Season award. So yeah, no, he's definitely well placed in this team.
Yeah. Sorry, I keep eating during this podcast. But it's rude etiquette of me. Moving on to the front three, Ethan, you can take it away.
The front three, so you've got, I don't think there's any arguments, and I think if anybody did have any arguments for this front three, then I would have, I'd ponder why. I think Tawanda Maswanise needs to be on the team. He had an excellent scoring record early in the season, built on from that, and the goals have maybe dried up a little bit. Sorry, recently for him, but he's had an excellent season and deserves his place in this team, as do the Hearts front two. Claudio Braga, again, up for contention for probably the Player of the Season award. But as I said, I think last weekend or the weekend before that, despite Lawrence Shanklin's injury, I think he's still the best striker in the country. And yeah, both of them deserve to be alongside the Motherwell front man and make up the front three. I know I could see Alex shaking his head, but I already know he's just trying to wind me up, so we're not even going to take on board his opinion on this. But what is your opinion on the front three, Alex? As long as it's a positive one, because anything else, I know you'll just be winding me and the viewers up.
I think you could take out Lawrence Shankland and give it to Mikey Moore. Um,
Oh, no, no, no.
Mikey Moore has been absolutely terrific this season. Um, uh, just a tremendous footballer coming in at 18 years of age, looking like he can take anyone on. His maybe numbers haven't been as good, but I think I'm joking. This is the front three. I don't have any arguments, but I just wanted to talk about Mikey Moore for a second. But
No, no, yeah, no. Mikey Mills had an excellent season. He'll certainly be up for the Young Player of the Year award. But yeah, I think it would have been really difficult for anyone to displace any of that front three. So yeah, I think they got that right, and I think they got the most of the team right on the whole. And it's nice to see a team that's not majority Celtic and Rangers. People will debate whether there should be that many Motherwell and Hearts players, but I think for yeah, you maybe referenced to it. I slightly disagreed with it that it's because they're playing a lot better than what the expectation of these players at Hearts and Motherwell are.
I think
But that
that's
doesn't take anything
I
away
think
from them.
it's different for some of them. Some of them I think have been, that level. Some of them I think are getting credit because they're better than what they normally are or what they have been their entire career. I mean, Paul McGinn's been guff for his entire career.
What do you mean he's been golf? What? How's he been golf? He's been a very solid Premiership player in multiple clubs.
No, he's been rubbish his entire career, and
I mean, rubbish.
he's
That's just nonsense. He's maybe not been a team of the season level, but to say Paul McGinn is in golf, you wind me up again. I
Oh,
think you should apologise to Paul McGinn. That's disgraceful.
Paul, if you're watching me, I don't think you've been rubbish your entire career. I think you've been pretty good, and you've had a tremendous season this season,
There you go.
better than any other season of your career.
Yeah, there's no shame in saying that. I think you would probably agree. But I think is that everything we've got to say on this team? I think the fact that we are starting to make debates up in their own head and wind each other up probably shows that we agree with most of this team. So
Well, I think you
no,
could make an argument for Tochi Chikwani or um,
January signing,
I,
Chukwani.
yeah,
Yeah,
no. If you did that, he'll be in the team of the year next year, guaranteed. You're a
okay. I'll,
first.
I'll hold you to that.
He's the best midfielder in the league. I've come to that conclusion now.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I actually don't know who the best midfielder in the league is because Cammy Devlin's not been great since he's come back. Um, But I think just for what he did in that first half, I'd still have him in the team of the year.
Yeah, they're good.
But yeah, that's interesting. Who do you think the best midfielder in the league is right now?
Right now, the best midfielder in the league. Uh, I'd probably say Eli Just.
They've made him right. He's not really a midfielder though, is he? They've kind of put him in there for the so they can
No,
get.
yeah, he is like a 10. Like no, I under like okay. If you're thinking like a sort of box to box defensive minded midfielder, we'll say then, right? Okay. Um, I don't actually know. It's a really difficult question. There's so many that you could put up for nomination. There's so many that have underperformed this season, so it is really difficult to say. I'd probably have to actually go and think about that. I'm
Okay,
sitting on the fence at the minute.
you know how we did. We're not going to do a team of the season video because this is kind of it. But do you want to do an end of season worst team of the season video?
We could do, but no, I don't think we should. I don't think we should. I think
Well, come on. There's been some January signings. There's been some redemption stories. So it's
no, I
uh,
think our mid-season.
Dominic Thompson's played himself out of the worst team of the season.
He's barely been playing for Kilmarnock. That's probably how he's played himself out of it. Although he did score a really nice goal after we put him in that.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, Casper Schmeichel's basically retired, so I don't know if you can put him in anymore.
Yeah.
No, but maybe we will do that. What do you
No,
reckon?
I don't think we should. I don't think we should. Too much negativity. Too much negativity that
It's
in what's been a great season for Scottish football.
not negative for me. I think it's a laugh.
That you like caning people, including Paul McGinn, who's had an excellent career in the
You
Premiership.
know,
You saying he's
come on,
got
there's a few January signings that would be in that worst team of the year. I mean, Big Tam, holy, he'd be straight in. He'd be the skipper of the worst team of the season.
yeah, he might well be. He might well be.
So you're just not gonna give me it, right? Okay.
No,
Uh,
no, no. I agree with you. I agree with you. I think he's been really, really underwhelming. And yeah, I'd probably agree with you.
Okay, that'll do it for this slightly disorganised episode. It's been a good laugh today. Thank you to everyone for watching and listening. Make sure to go check out the TikTok, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave your comments. Do you want us to do a worst team of the season? Come on, let us know. I think it'll be really fun. Let us know who your worst team of the season is. Also, let us know who your team of the season is. Did the PFA get it right? Did they get it wrong? Did we get it right? Should James Tavernier be Player of the Year? Thank you all for watching and listening. Goodbye.